Hello everyone. I am Santos from WF Nepal. Today I'm going to conduct an interview with Mr. Sudeep Uprety. He has been working in this development communications field for quite a long time now. Let's welcome him now. Hello, Sudeep.
Hi Santosh, I hope you are fine and doing well.
Yeah, I'm going all well. Thank you. Could you please give us your short introduction, please?
Thank you Santosh for inviting me to this interview. So I'm Sudeep Uprety. I've been working in Nepal in the development sector, especially in the development communication sector over the last uh, 7-8 years. Especially in the development sector, I've worked over 10 years, but specifically in the development communications field, I've been working since 2013. Especially working as a research uptake, knowledge management, and a grants writing professional. So I've had diverse experiences in the NGO sector, also working for think tanks, some communications institute as a facilitator, and now I'm currently working in one of the international NGOs. So yes, it has been quite a very enriching and a very learning experience so far.
Thank you so much. Shall we start the interview?
Sure, please.
You've been working in the development field for about 10 years now.
Yes.
And how long you've been taking this communications sector now?
If I go back to my journey as a development professional, initially around 2008-9, when I had completed my bachelor's degree, so I was not pursuing a full-time job for a while, and I was looking for some freelance work. So that's how I got introduced into the world of development, where I got opportunity for like small consultancy tasks like translation, transcription, and report writing, report editing. So that's how I got introduced into the world of development. So 2010 onward, I was working full time as an educator, as a teaching professional. But at the meantime, I was also taking some consultancy tasks during the vacations that I had opportunity, especially while I was working in the school. So you can say from 2010 itself, I had some opportunity to work in the development communications field. But as a full-time professional, I got introduced to this world from 2013, where I worked in one of the NGOs in Nepal. So as a research officer, I joined initially as a research officer for one of the migration related projects. But then when I shared about my interest also in the development communication field and looking into my work, the organization, the leadership also exposed me to this field of development communication. So you can say basically from September 2013 onwards, I've been like regularly and working in this field. So yes, that's how I got introduced.
So it's been around 7, 8 years now, right?
Yes,
It's been quite
yes.
a long journey now.
Yeah, but I would say just initial years, because yeah, it's been quite
So,
and
as a professional in this development sector, how has your experience been so far? How do you take this field as, especially in the case of low-income country like Nepal?
yes, there are like pros and cons, and also some myths and misconceptions about this sector, um, especially from the external lens as well. So some people regard, especially as being a very as a poor country, or as a low and middle income country. There are so many grand opportunities, and there are other sectors, especially the private sector and government sector, sometimes they don't consider this as a very, let's say, very good profession in some ways, because there is a concept about like dollar farming, or that sort of concept of like poverty porn, or like catching on, or leveraging on the poverty side of the things. But having as worked as an insider and having understood the sector for 7 8 years, yeah, I think that it is one of the most rewarding professions as a career opportunity, because you get to learn and you get a lot of exposure as well as a professional in this field. So I would consider this as one of the very promising sectors, especially if you are a young researcher, academician, or somebody who wants to pursue anything of your interest, like be it health, education, agriculture, wildlife conservation. For anyone who is interested in these sectors, especially in the social sciences, I would consider development sector as one of the more rewarding and promising professions. Yes.
Thank you. So you've seen so many ups and downs in this sector. What do you think had changed today than what was then back then when you started? What do you think are the changes as of now?
Uh, Basically, when I was starting out in the early 2010, that period, so um, there were limited opportunities, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
as compared to now, because you can see when we were starting out, we had to like struggle a lot to find a place and also get noticed, because social media was not so prominent then as it is now. So we had to I remember my days when I just finished my bachelor. Then I was just going around different libraries, different think tanks, offices, and visiting people, and helping and them, supporting them, so that I would get noticed. So Facebook was not such a thing, or Twitter was not such a thing then, and we hardly used to get opportunity to publish in like op-eds or any blogs, or LinkedIn was not so prominent, so, or we didn't know at that time. So these sort of opportunities were not there. So now I see my students who might teach development communication as well, they are far more like exposed to, and they have a lot of opportunities. Fellowships was not heard back then, like now easily, like so many organizations, they offer internships, fellowships to their upcoming, like those who are finishing their studies. So there is a lot of opportunity right now. But on the flip side, if you see, then there are also a lot of distractions right now, because it was easier for us back then, that we had a
Mm-hmm.
clear path, like
Yeah.
the thing. So when we were studying, I studied my bachelor in humanities background. So when we were studying sociology, then we knew that we would be either going to major English literature, that background, or we would be going to the social sector or the development sector. So it was quite easy for us. Now if you see, then there are lots of interdisciplinary courses, like the college that I teach, affiliated under KU, then there are lots of opportunities, like even development finance is a very new concept, which was not thought of, let's say, 10 years ago. It would be
Mm-hmm.
like either business or development, so there was no connection in between. So that way we can see, or even development communication. So when I got the opportunity to, let's say, redesign the course for the development communication for KU, then it was quite a new thing, because they were just focusing on, initially it was just more on media, and it was more like journalism. So now there is a new avenue for development communication, where we go on talking about like how to do proper knowledge management, documentation. So the sector has got very diverse now. There are lots of opportunities. Um, at the same time, especially for young early career people, there are lots of distractions. I would also see, because I see so many people hanging out on LinkedIn and just looking into motivational posts rather than doing the actual work. So that way, that is also the flip side of social media, that you get
Mm-hmm.
distracted and you are not doing the actual work but just listening to motivational talks, podcasts. That way also, yes, but there are always good opportunities if people are motivated and like skillful. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And going back to your introduction, you said you're now engaged in proposal development as well.
Yes, so that has been part of my job since the very beginning in the development field. So even
Mm-hmm.
when I was doing odd consultancy jobs, so that time also I was since I had the skill from the very like initial days of I used to do a lot of documentation and report writing. So that skill of mine helped in the development sector a lot, because that's how people got noticed, and then I got the opportunity. So as a formal sort of job description assignment, I got that opportunity since 2013. So since then I've been writing proposals on and off for the last 8 years or so.
Okay, so and then the subject that you touch on those proposals are very diverse. See, yes.
Yeah.
How has your experience been in dealing with such diverse topic and working with diverse professional groups? How do you see in the overall picture?
Yeah, yes, it is quite a challenging thing, especially to indulge in various other sectors, and also get some idea about that. So I think as a proposal writer or a resource development professional, one of the skills that you need to have is the art of synthesizing things or packaging things. So it is all about packaging the information. So you need not be an expert in any field. That's not a requirement to be a proposal writer. The requirement is the way you can package the things. So it is just like a marketing job. How a person working in an ad company promotes various products, right? So similarly, as a proposal writer, you need to promote various sectors. So in that way, my experience has been like, first understanding the context and understanding the sector first, rather than going too depth into the technicalities, because you wouldn't know anyway those technicalities, because it's very time consuming and energy sapping thing. So rather than focusing on the technicalities, if you understand the sector, who are the big players, what are the donor priorities, and what sort of line or vision that you want to see from your proposed project that you are thinking. So I come from that schooling or that concept, so then it will be easier for me to understand, okay, so I leave the technical aspects to the team members, but the overall picture or the larger picture that you want to see. So that's how I indulge in the discussions with the sector experts as well. So if you do this activity, then what will it relate to, or what will it contribute at the larger picture, which SDG goal it contributes, or so that way I indulge in discussion. So that helps me as a professional, because I don't need to go into the nitty gritty of the sector. So yes, I've had
Mhm. Yeah.
various experience working in various sectors. So that is the way out, I guess, for
Okay.
any proposal
Yeah,
development.
sure. Thank you, Sudeep, so much for your time and your insights. Just to end the interview, can you give advice to young people who are thinking of pursuing a career in development, as well as those who have already recently joined? What would be your advice to them?
Mm, okay, in terms of my advice, I may not be the only person who who has excelled in this area. There are so many people who are already doing great jobs. So I'm just learning and understanding the sector
Mhm.
since 7 8 years. So based on my limited experience so far, what I can share is like um, uh, what I've learned over the years is like, well, first and foremost, you need to have the skills. If you don't have the skills, then it is very difficult. Sometimes I hear a lot about, especially when the organizations are in transition phase and people are losing out on jobs. You can see like in COVID-19 current context, so many people are losing out on jobs. So one thing you need to have, I guess, is skills. Skills matter a lot. So irrespective, so I myself have worked in various sectors, from education sector, then going to the health sector, then going to a think tank, and now coming to an organization which is multi-sector. So um, so if you are just inclined to one particular sector, then there, and if you don't have the right kind of skills, then it might affect your career progression as well. So one first and foremost, you need to have the skills. By skills, I mean like, if in the development communication, you need to have a very good writing, very good skill to interpret things, to synthesize things, package things, and always be, another thing is like being adaptive, because the situation changes a lot, especially in the development sector. It is not a very rigid sector. It is very flexible, and you need to adapt to various situations. So being flexible and adaptive, being a team player is another very important skill that you need to have. A proper effective project management skills, so that way it is important. And what I can share, another is like, especially for the young career professionals, don't go immediately after a very like fancy title or a very let's say lucrative money. So look into the organization, do a proper research about the organization where you are applying for. So what are the positive aspects of the organization? Sometimes the bigger organizations initially might take a lot of out of you. So you can start in a small organization in a better role, rather than going into a big organization where you are just like a cog in a wheel, and nobody cares about you or nobody mentors you properly. So rather than start small, but start in a very like in an organization where you have most like opportunity or to rise or to learn. So always look for the learning aspect. Invest in your time, and invest your time properly in learning as well. And don't take this sector as a 9 to 5 job, I would say. That's my final message, that if you just take this sector as a 9 to 5 job and just go back home and do other things, then your scope for growth may also be limited. So I'm not saying that you need to do the office tasks all the time, but when you are done with the office assignments, then you can take some time and for your own learning, go to the LinkedIn sites, go to other like various platforms where you can learn about new skills. So that's how I got my career path moving. So I would say the same thing to the young professionals.
Okay, thank you so much, Sudeep, for your great insights. We'll catch up soon then.
Thank you, Santosh, for this opportunity.